Rod Liddle has been accused of denying Muslims their democratic rights. Picture, SIPA USA. Leading Muslim groups have condemned Spectator columnist Rod Liddle for blatant Islamophobia and racism, after he suggested planning elections for a time when Muslims cannot vote. In an article headlined, "If you do one thing this election, stop your kids voting," Mr. Liddle wrote, "My own choice of election date would be a day when universities are closed and Muslims are forbidden to do anything on pain of hell, or something. There must be at least one day like that in the Muslim calendar, surely. That would deliver at least 40 seats to the Tories, I reckon." Home Secretary Sajid Javid, who is of Muslim heritage, said Mr. Liddle's words were not funny and not acceptable. He tweeted, "Not clear if the Rod Liddle comment is supposed to be a joke, but it's not funny and not acceptable. Advertisement. No community in our country should be put down that way." West Streeting MP called on both the Spectator and Mr. Liddle to apologize. Picture, Matt Crossick. West Streeting MP, who is co-chair of the APPG on British Muslims, said Mr. Liddle's comments were blatantly Islamophobic and the Spectator should be ashamed of publishing them. He told metro.co.uk, "The comments made by Rod Liddle in the Spectator are truly reprehensible. British Muslims are part and parcel of our democracy like all other groups. Minority communities' right to vote should not be attacked by preachers of hate but celebrated, promoted and encouraged. British Muslim communities in the UK won't stand alone against such attacks. There will be many others, including me, who will stand up to defend their rights." Mr. Liddle and the Spectator should apologize immediately. The Muslim Council of Britain, MCB, accused Mr. Liddle of denying Muslims their democratic rights and of discrimination against Muslims. British Muslims have condemned the remarks as Islamophobic. Picture, Sharik Siddiqui, an MCB spokesperson, said, "Mr. Liddle's hate is not new and is in fact the usual bigotry that Muslims have become accustomed to. Here he calls for the discrimination against Muslims and a denial of their democratic rights, particularly when the far right are on the rise." Outlets such as The Spectator regularly give racists a platform to share their anti-Muslim propaganda and feed into far-right narratives that thrive on Islamophobia. Meanwhile, The Spectator's assistant editor Isabel Hardman also said she profoundly disagrees with Mr. Liddle's piece and was hugely upset by it. Mr. Liddle said it was a light-hearted joke. Picture, Newsnight. Another section in Mr. Liddle's column appeared to mock Labour MP Rosie Duffield, who last month spoke out about a previous abusive relationship she had while discussing the domestic abuse bill. Advertisement. Mr. Liddle described Ms. Duffield as the sobbing and depressed Rosie. In response, Ms. Hardman said, "I know personally how strong and brave survivors of domestic abuse are, and Rosie Duffield is one of the finest among us." Anti-racism campaigner Shaista Aziz said, "To minimize the experiences of courageous Rosie Duffield MP, who spoke about her painful experiences of cohesive control and domestic abuse and to then go on to target Muslims, is exactly the type of bigotry and disgrace Rod Liddle has become known for and paid very well to produce." A few days into a general election campaign and it's already open season for Islamophobic and East views to be given prominence, heavily pregnant woman killed by ex-in revenge crossbow attack. Rahana Faisal, founder and chair of Lantern, a charity that seeks to increase social and political representation among Muslim women, said, "Rod Liddle's words are deeply misogynistic, racist and Islamophobic. Whilst as a nation we value free speech, we must recognize that he is peddling a narrative of hate that seeks to strip Muslim citizens of their basic rights. Liddle is advocating for discrimination in a very direct sense. This dehumanizing language has a direct impact on the physical and mental well-being of my community." In response, Mr. Liddle said, "There was no hate speech or Islamophobia whatsoever. It was a very light-hearted series of suggestions about when to hold an election, based upon the dispute over the proposed dates for the election. Pie on mash shop catches moment, disgusting thief, steals poppy collection. It was patently a joke. I do not really think that students should be drugged, or sent to a rave on an election day. Nor do I think that the vote should be held on a day when Muslim people can't vote." Advertisement. They were very obviously ludicrous suggestions, satirical in manner, about how to reduce the Labour vote by targeting groups which traditionally